All right, what's up, everybody? Look, the crypto market has a decent sized chance of pulling back sometime over the next couple of days. And I want to explain to you exactly why I think that this may happen and exactly what I'm doing to prepare for it if it does. Remember, I'm not a genie. I can't predict the future. But when I notice things that I think might happen, I always prepare for them because strategy always beats reaction. So what I've been looking at for the last couple of days, as you all know here on the channel, is this ascending structure here, this ascending or rising structure. Now, I've told you all many times before, I do not like these structures. I never like these structures because while everyone is convinced that this is bullish and that this is a good thing because we're setting higher highs and higher lows, I've come to recognize that there is over 90% chance that this very specific structure will break to the downside. Now, don't get me wrong, that does still leave a 10% chance that it doesn't, but overwhelmingly, the majority of the time, you're going to see a structure just like this end up breaking to the downside. Now, why does this happen? Well, the reason why these sorts of structures will almost always break to the downside are because of the momentum and the pressure that's being placed on the bulls, okay? So what you have to understand is that this is not an easy move to maintain. The market is being constantly pushed up, 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 and up, especially whenever you are starting to see a lot of uncertainty, a lot of volatility, a lot of crazy things happening in the market. It's difficult. It's extremely hard for any asset, not just crypto, but any asset to maintain an upwards trend like this, especially on the shorter to mid time frames. Now, oftentimes what happens is that the bulls will get exhausted. They'll make one big move here, they'll make another big move here, but usually once you start getting to move 3, once you start getting to move 4, usually these bulls are going to start to struggle a bit. They're not going to have that same strength that they had before. They're going to start losing momentum. Volume's going to start dropping off, and they're going to need a reset. It's like running in a race, right? It's like running. You hit that first lap, you're good. Second lap, you're kind of good. Third lap, like, oh shit, I'm kind of getting a little tired. Fourth lap, you're like hobbling, like, dude, I need to slow down a bit, right? That's kind of the bulls. Another example that I like to use is like taking a ball and throwing it in the air, right? You're going to be gaining a lot of momentum at first, but the higher you get, the harder it's going to be to maintain that speed, maintain that velocity. And oftentimes you're going to curve over, drop back down, come back to earth, right? And that's what happens here. It's not a bad thing. It's just what happens. And what I am starting to recognize and what I have been recognizing is that that is exactly what is playing out. Like I've told you all in the last couple of videos, we have the bearish divergence to prove it. Look at how our RSI has consistently set lower highs every single time we've peaked while the price is setting higher highs. This means that strength is being lost. And it is a very, very high likelihood that Bitcoin's price does come back down outside of this ascending channel to what could be $102,000 to possibly as low as $94,000 and maybe lower if the right circumstances do arise. Now, the only exception to this rule is the exception to most rules when it comes to the world of technical analysis, and that is the fact that if something macro bullish happens, let's say Trump comes out tomorrow and says that, hey, there's no tariffs, everyone's best friends, we're holding a picnic in the middle of the White House, we're all going to sing Kumbaya and eat turkey legs together, well, then guess what? We're probably going to see this market do very well, and all this technical analysis gets thrown out the window. And that's something I remind you guys a lot. Listen, I am a technical analyst. I've been doing this for 7 years now. But I'm vastly aware that macroeconomics will almost always outweigh technicals. And so when big things happen, they will impact your charts, and you just need to be able to respond correctly, quickly, right? But we can't try to strategize around things we don't know. What we can do is get our plan set in place for the things that we can see. And so with that in mind, obviously, that is why I'm looking at this thing and I'm thinking, okay, we might just see this bad boy break down sometime soon here. Now, again, it might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, right? Maybe we'll bounce one more time, and maybe we'll make a run for 115 before it happens. Maybe we'll make 2 more runs up to 122 before it happens. But I'm telling you, there's a very high likelihood that this breaks down, and I've seen it happen over 90% of the time. So let's just talk about both examples just really quickly. If it doesn't, let's just say hypothetically, Tyler, if it doesn't, if the 10% chance thing happens, what do we do? Well, guess what? I'm going to take a lot of profit off the table. If we see Bitcoin somehow break through the top of this rising channel, that is when you're going to start seeing me sell en masse. I'm talking 10, 15% clips of my Bitcoin position, preparing to rotate it into altcoins because I don't think that's going to last very long. Those oftentimes are blow off top moments. okay? But that's not very likely. What is more likely is that we would get this break towards the downside eventually at some point. I mean, realistically, this could go into June or July, but eventually we will see this pullback over 90% of the time. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare my dollar cost average levels because I'm not running from this market, guys, right? A lot of people hear that there may be a chance of a pullback, that something might happen, that we might dump, that we might crash, right? And everybody gets all scared. They get all worried. They get all nervous. No, I don't do that. Why do we not do that? Because we've been stacking cash to the side for this very reason. I mean, look at our buy-sell bubble sheet. We haven't bought Bitcoin since April 6th of 2025. But we've sold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 times over the last month, stacking cash to the side, having it ready for a moment where the market might pull back. And so guess what? If the market pulls back, I'm going to set my dollar cost average levels and I'm going to execute on them. So where are they? Well, there's three major ones that I'm looking at right now, right? There's three major ones that I'm looking at right now. The very first one is going to be right here at $102,000. Bam. Now, the reason why I'm going to have my first one at $102,000 is put very simply, this is our previous point of support. And what will almost always happen is that when you break out of an ascending channel, you're going to come back down to the last point of support on the channel, and you're going to try to bounce off of it. This is oftentimes where the retest zone is. So you'll come down, you'll hit it, you'll come back up and retest it, and then determine where to go from there. Most often than not, it'll do something like this, but this is the bounce zone. And so that is the first bounce zone, and that's going to be the one that I buy at first. Now, hypothetically, if we do see Bitcoin's price bounce off of the structure here and give us one more run, this now becomes that bounce zone. This becomes the first accumulation point. This becomes the second accumulation point, okay? So it's not set in stone, but right now, if this drops off right now, this is where I would start to do my first DCA. Not a big one, because the odds of that holding are not extremely high. They're decent, but they're not fantastic. So I would just do a small DCA here, majoritively focused on altcoins, personally. As I've told you all before, I do have every intention to start rotating my profits into altcoins majoritively, and so that is what I would do. I would use a $102,000 level as a key target to then start dollar cost averaging on some of my alts. Okay. Now, the very next point that I would start doing some dollar cost averaging at is going to be right down here. And it's going to be this little range. This one's more of a range, much less of a zone, but it's this range between 93,000 and 95,000. Now, the reason why I'm willing to start doing some DCAing here is because, again, it's another bounce zone, previous point of support, and the bottom side of our golden channel. Knowing that this is the bottom side of the golden channel, knowing that there's going to be a ton of support here, knowing that we had a previous support here, point of support here, I think there's every reason in the world to think that if we do start to say do this and then we come back down, we very well might use that to run. And so, of course, I'm down to have that as my support level. At that point, I do also expect that something like a 4-hour and daily RSIs would be completely oversold. And so I think it would be a good point to step in and start doing a little bit of DCA. Okay. And then my very last point of support is kind of just like a, wow, that'd be wild if we got down there, but it's possible level. And it's our bottom side golden zone. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to draw on your fibs from that swing low all the way to the swing high. And it's going to be right down here, right at $86,000. Okay. This is my next point of support. This is the next key point that I'm going to DCA on because it's the biggest point of support that Bitcoin has right now, right? Bottom side macro golden zone is the biggest point of support that any crypto can have. And so, of course, because of that, I would be willing to do some DCAing there. So let's just throw this right in the middle of that. And then let's throw it right here. These are my three pretty large DCA zones. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm still going to be buying. Like, if Bitcoin falls and it's like right here and it has a really red day at 98K, of course I'm going to dollar cost average a little bit in that. But that's not me pre-planning it. That's me just going to have to be somewhat reactionary during that market. But remember, strategy always outweighs reactions. And so what I want to do is strategize to know, no matter how I feel, no matter how scared I get, 102, 95 to 93, and 86 are my three key points of support in which I am going to dollar cost average in. I'm going to rotate a lot of the profits into altcoins. I am still going to rotate some of my profits back into Bitcoin. Don't get me wrong. I'm not only buying alts, but I am going to rotate most of it into alts, some into Bitcoin, and then let that puppy ride from there. And then we'll just kind of see how it all plays out. Okay. And so do you see how I noticed today, like, you know what? This looks like it very well could break out. Let me put my plan in place. Let me put my strategy in place of exactly what I'm going to do if this breaks out. This is the way you need to be navigating this market, guys. You can't be someone who's constantly just reacting and reacting and reacting. Oh, we're pumping. What do I do? Oh, we're dumping. What do I do? Let me go to the comments and freak out. Like, no, you have to be vastly aware. Like, this is what I'm going to do if this happens. This is what I'm going to do if this happens. Let me prepare. You know, a lot of people on YouTube say, Tyler's so neutral. Tyler's so in the middle. The reason I'm in the middle is because I'm prepared for anything. I don't need to be biased. I don't need to have a bullish bias. I don't need to have a bearish bias. It doesn't matter what happens. I know exactly what I'm going to do if it goes up. I know exactly what I'm going to do if it goes down. And it's the reason why I've been able to remain profitable for 7 years, but not just profitable, stress-free for the most part. I'm not stressing too hard about these markets. I just let this puppy ride because what it's going to do is what it's going to do. I can't change that. I can't even impact that. But what I can do is be so prepared strategically that it doesn't matter. And so that's my plan. That's my strategy. And that's how I always act whenever it comes to this crypto market. And if you want to start refining your strategy today, you can check out the link to the school down below. That's what we specialize in, and we'll help you too. So that's down there. I have a link to BTCC as well. If you want to get to trading and start trading today, you can get up to $10,000 per user plus 40% lower trading fees. If you know trading, you know how good that is. Check out that link down below. But of course, I hope you guys do enjoy videos like today where they're a little bit more strategic and, kind of hopefully helpful in terms of, like formulating a plan for what might happen and being prepared for what might happen. Okay. So I hope you guys did enjoy. I will be continuously updating you as this all does play out. I'm having another travel day tomorrow as I'm changing cities, but I am going to be around as much as possible. So I'll try to get a video or two for you out then. So of course, if you have been enjoying them, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Also, thank you. 130,000 subscribers feels pretty dang cool. So I appreciate you all for subbing, and I'll see you all later. Peace out.